Welcome to the Dr. Ferrer podcast, hosted by pulmonologist and author Dr. Gustavo Ferrer and me, Amanda Ferrer. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Dr. Ferrer podcast about living longer, aging better, and finding peace, one breath at a time. I'm Amanda.
And I am Gustavo Ferrer. I'm a pulmonary and critical care physician. I have spent my life helping people breathe better, sleep better, and enjoy life. Today, we are speaking about a topic that is personal to every single human being and is extremely personal to me because we're talking about sleep. I practice sleep medicine, and I actually was a patient with a sleep problem many years ago. And for that reason, we will dive into a very interesting topic that I think touches every single human being.
Yeah, I mean, we're all tired. We work, we wake up, we go to sleep, we do stuff that extends the hours that we're awake, and you are dragging through your day, maybe waking up at 3 a.m., like me sometimes, and then I check my phone on accident, and then I'm scrolling, and then it's one thing after another with sleep. It could be good, it could be bad, it goes back and forth. It's hard, but I mean, it's necessary.
Absolutely. It's a foundation for health. Sleep, sleep and exercise are the two most important things that we can do to promote better health.
Right. I mean, I hope at the end of this, we can give the listeners about like 3-4 tips on what they can do to build a better night from the inside out, and like a whole process, creating an ecosystem. I think that's essential, but also keeping it very simple, because I think that's it. Media and everything is just, it's too much information, and then you try to do everything at once, and then maybe some things cancel each other out, or your body just doesn't need that much going on at night, you know?
Absolutely. Most people are extremely focused on themselves, and they blame themselves because they believe that the issue is it is internal. They are the problem. But sleep requires an entire ecosystem. Sometimes the problem is not you, or many times the problem is not you. The problem is actually your environment, where you sleep, your bed, the temperature, many other things that influence sleep. And we're going to go and dive into the most important topics around this topic about sleep. But I think we are going to have to do a second episode about sleep, because this is such an important and extensive
Absolutely
topic in medicine and in life, that has a lot of things going out there that are not helping people. And we're going to try to touch those today. But at the end, we're going to give people 3 important top tips that they're going to be able to use and apply for their daily life.
Yeah. I mean, we can first start, obviously this is very personal. Everyone goes to sleep. But I mean, you studied this a lot in your fellowships and your training. And is it something that you also went through when you were first starting? I mean, I know that when you were starting your fellowship and stuff, you were moving, you had 2 kids. There's a lot of extraneous factors that were going into your life starting out as a doctor. So do you want to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Those are seasons of life. I was in training, and as a physician, as a critical care physician, I have to do nights in hospital, which interfere your normal circadian, day and night sleep cycle, plus the responsibilities that we have at home. All of that became for me a stress that triggered a significant sleep disorder, and I couldn't sleep many nights.
Really?
And I remember around 2008, 2009, we were in Washington, D.C., and I'm in part of my training on a sleep medicine as a pulmonologist. I learned about my ecosystem and the things that I could change. And it was them that I removed the TV from our room. I know you guys hate it because I did it for you guys too.
Yeah.
And also began to create a routine. And I made gradual changes, and I began to understand sleep better, trying to understand that I do not need to have a perfect night every single night.
Yeah.
trying to understand the some nights I'm going to have stressors, normal things of
Right.
life that are going to keep me awake, but that doesn't mean that that has to define my rest life, the rest of my life when I sleep. So I made all those changes, and ever since, I would say in the last 15 years or so, I'm able to sleep. I understood also that I do not need to have 8 hours, 6 hours for me is perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So most people out there are focused on sleeping 7 to 8 hours because this is what we see circulating in the media.
Right.
But the reality is that we are individuals,
Of course.
and
Of
as an
course.
individuals, we have
It
differences.
depends. Yeah.
And we have tons of people that they can sleep 5, 6 hours and they are functioning and they
Mhm.
are having a recuperated sleep and they have no issues during the day. For those people, that number of hours is enough. For others, that could be the great majority. They may need 6 hours and a
Mhm.
half to 7 as an adult. Children, they sleep way more.
Of
It's
course.
normal.
Right.
And as we age, we tend to sleep less.
Mhm.
But that still a value sleep. You're still recuperating and functioning.
Right.
So it is important to understand that it's not one size fits all when it comes to the recommendations of how you're gonna plan your sleep or follow your sleep pattern.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of other factors like waking up at a certain time for work, and then on the weekends, maybe your body's already adjusted to only sleeping a certain amount of hours, and you don't need an alarm on the weekends, and then you still wake up at 7 or 8 a.m. And I feel like that's your body telling you, hey, like I've had enough sleep. Like you don't need to prolong it. You also don't need to shorten it. But if you do shorten it, I feel like, you know, you just got to listen to your body personally yourself.
That's actually a very interesting topic. Years ago, there was a movement out there in the media that people were recommending that when you get to the weekend, take a sleeping pill or something like that, and trying to sleep way, more
Really?
than what you usually sleep. And
Huh.
unfortunately, research shows that that's a problem. That's actually create disturbances in your balance in your
Yeah.
day and night cycle, and throws your sleep and awake cycle out of control. So if you're sleeping Monday through Friday, 7 hours or 6 hours, you
That's
shall be
enough.
sleeping the same amount on weekends. So
Mm.
sometimes we see patients with insomnia that are not
Mhm.
able to sleep. And one of the things that we do is to create something called that we anchor the time that they're going to be waking up. And then we wait, we work backwards to allow them to sleep. Let's say
Oh.
we tell them they're going to go to work every day at 8 o'clock or
Mhm.
9 p.m. We tell them you're going to wake up every single day, whether you're sleeping off or not,
Mhm.
every single day at 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning. This
Mhm.
is an anchor that
Right.
they're going to throw and wake up regardless having a good night or bad night. Why?
Mm.
Because we're trying to make their sleep awake cycle organize and work it back into the number of hours they will have to sleep so that when they wake up that day begins as normal. So if you try to sleep way too much through the weekend because you think you have to recoup and your body is telling you you do not need that, then you are throwing off your
Yeah.
day and night sleep
That
cycle.
completely makes sense. I know the media is always telling, especially in high school. I feel like for me, sometimes even college, but more high school when I was so involved in going to school, and waking up super early. My school was very far away. I had to wake up at 5 a.m. I'd stay at school until like 10 p.m. And I was like, oh, I have the weekends. But my body always naturally just woke up like at 7 or 8 a.m. And I was like, not disappointed in myself, but more like, ugh, I wish I could sleep longer because I think I need it. But then I go throughout my day, and at that time, I wasn't really drinking coffee or anything, and I felt just naturally caffeinated, I guess, or just like
Energize.
energized for the day without having to recuperate on the weekends for that. And even sometimes I was busy on the weekend. So I feel like my body just naturally had a cycle of understanding when I would need to wake up, when I would need to go to sleep. And then obviously that I feel like that kind of changed for me in college at least, because in high school you have a more set schedule. In college and in grad school too, I was taking, classes like one class 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. all day. And then I had a class from 7 to 11 p.m. And then I had a class from 8 to 2. So it was all over the place. And there's where I really had to adjust my sleeping schedule, because after the 11 p.m., I had to study. And it was just a lot of back and forth that my body still has to understand. Like, okay, maybe it's time to go to sleep. I get like maybe some brain fog. I feel like that's also a thing. Sometimes if you don't get enough sleep, then you understand, okay, maybe I don't need, or I need more than 6 hours of sleep. Just more listening to yourself instead of the media, I feel like, is what we're trying to get out here, right?
Absolutely. If you look into those seasons that
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about, high school, college, they have intrinsic stressors
Of course.
that are going to keep you
Mm-hmm.
active, or doing some
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities and chores and things that you have to do. Now, if you add to those normal daytime stressors the stress of thinking that you're not sleeping enough, when in reality you are,
Right.
that is when you create a feedback into your brain that is negative, and that's when we
Mm.
begin to mount these as internal stresses and not sleeping enough, and then you're sending a negative message to your brain that may actually in the long run contribute to your lack of sleep,
Like
um,
subconsciously.
subconsciously. So you if
Oh,
you were able to adapt and understand that, hey, with 6 hours or 7 hours I'm okay,
right.
you automatically lower your level of stress related to sleep, and you're not sending a negative message to your brain, oh, I did not sleep enough, so I'm not going to be concentrated or
Right.
focused. And you're going to have day by day variability that are absolutely normal. So
Of
if you have a
course.
more stressful day in class or college or at home or at
Mm-hmm.
work, there is an opportunity that your night may be reflecting that, and you're not going to have a consolidated recuperative sleep.
Of course.
However,
Makes sense.
the next day could be a totally different game.
Right.
So you really tired, you accumulated some
Right.
deprivation, and then
Mm-hmm.
you go to sleep and you follow a normal routine where you avoid at all time introducing negative thoughts. The
Yeah.
the brain respond quickly to these kind of things that we tend to tell ourselves.
And that's crazy. That's crazy. And it's like a battle of you versus yourself, of like, you have to go to sleep, but then you can't, or you have something stressful going on. So you decide, hey, maybe I'll be on my phone. And then the media tells you, and I feel like the media is right in this, where like they're trying to say, okay, maybe don't be on your phone because of the blue light or something like that in the phone. It's too much stress on your eyes. So maybe read. But then me, I like my Kindle. My Kindle is also low key a screen. So then I'm like, okay, should I read or should I not? And it's like, but if I'm on my phone, I feel more stimulated. So I'm like, oh, this is funny. I'm laughing or whatever. And then I read a book, and the second I pick up the book, my eyes are like, and I'm asleep. So it's just trying to understand the tactics of like how to set up your bedtime, I feel like is what um
And
is important.
that's part of what we're going to be discussing today. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to talk about your ecosystem,
Yeah.
the environment that you create, and the routine
Mm-hmm.
that follows that environment, so that you are bringing the good feedbacks into your brain and allows yourself to have a good night of sleep.
Yeah.
When you are in those moments that you're not falling asleep, and in the 21st century we jump into our phones and we ask
Mm.
Google
Yeah.
or whosoever today, AI, what shall I do for better sleep, you're going to have an array of recommendations that very likely the great majority of those are not applying to you.
Of
The-
course, it's just a
as a
generalization.
generalization. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to dive into more individual planning for sleep. That has
Yeah.
to be focused into your environment, your ecosystem, and the routine that you set for you to sleep, and have a recuperative sleep
Yeah.
every night. So when we're talking about the ecosystem,
Right. What goes into that?
we're going to dive into that because this is one of the most important things that we're going to talk today, or the heart of what we're going to talk today.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because 100 years ago or 150 years ago, from there down to the creation of times, we didn't have light. and
Right.
light, it is an incredible stimulant for the brain, and it blocks the internal melatonin that we generate. Melatonin is very popular this day as a pill, but you
Gummy.
have a melatonin production gland in your brain, and that melatonin internal is responsible for triggering your sleep and your desire to go to sleep. um
Wait, I thought that was an external thing.
uh-huh
I didn't know that was something that your body naturally produced.
that's exactly
So
right.
then why do we take the pill to get more of it? Or the gummy or
Or
whatever?
we take the pills to get the effect of the internal melatonin, because by exposing ourselves to light, we have blocked or inhibited the internal melatonin production.
What kind of light? Any light?
Any light. So obviously there are soft light that are
Right.
not bright light, LED, or some of the other white yellow lights that tend
Yeah.
to inhibit melatonin or stimulate the brain more. But in general,
Mm.
all lights, big sleep disorders were not a problem 150 years ago.
Right.
We see now tremendous amount of sleep problems across all ages.
Yeah.
Young kids, they have a lot of time in computers and media and phones and
iPad
all of that,
kids.
and all of that are constant stimuli that are blocking, when you need to have less light, they're blocking your melatonin, internal melatonin production. So we're
Wow.
gonna talk about that ecosystem right now.
Yeah. I mean, what is considered a good ecosystem, or what goes into an ecosystem first, and then we'll go into like what is good. So like your mattress, your pillow, the temperature, a scent, noise. I don't know. I feel like a baby in a cave when I go to sleep because I need to have my blackout curtains, and then I have rain sounds, and then I have my eye mask, sometimes my bonnet for my hair, a silk pillow. I feel like that's also from the media telling me like I need these things, but I do feel like it really actually helps me. Is it all like placebo or
Very,
does it
very
actually work?
likely you learn many of those fundamental things when I made changes in our own family
This
years
is
ago.
true. This is true.
Um,
Yeah.
but we're not gonna get it complicated. Not gonna talk
Simple.
about the $10,000 mattress or anything like that, because
Crazy.
although those may have some value, they cannot be generalized for the entire
No.
population.
True.
So we're gonna begin with the room. The
Right.
number one thing that we need to do are gonna be two things. Light. We have spoken a lot about light, and the second thing is temperature. So we're going to talk about light. At all cost, the room has to be dark, and so you need curtains. If you have lights that are just coming through a window, trying to put some curtains. Those are inexpensive measures that you can take.
Right.
Trying to black out
Mhm.
all of that. When it comes to light, you got to see other small lights that can be floating around your room.
Oh, I hate those.
Um,
Especially like in a hotel room. I feel like growing up in a hotel room, there was always a random alarm clock that was plugged in, and it's like either a red light or a white light or the little TV thing because I was never used to having a TV in any room. So we would always take like a sock or something
I throw a
or
pillow on
a
top.
pillow, something to just that light is so disturbing and yet it's so small. And even sometimes it was so hard to find it because you would turn the light off and it would obviously be black. And then you see the light, but you don't know where it's coming from because you see it a reflection somewhere or something. You turn on the lights and you don't know where it is because there's so much other light overcompensating that small light. But it's bothersome. It really
Absolutely,
is.
because we all go through what we call stages of a sleep that are going from light to deep sleep. But we're going to be going all through the nights up and down, kind of. So if you are in a light phase of the sleep
Mm-hmm.
and you turn around or you open your eyes and you see that shining small light,
Right.
that it is brighter because the room is dark, is going
Yeah.
to be a stimuli. that is going to interfere your sleep. And it could be your phone, text messages, things that are coming up if you keep those around you.
Yeah, I don't
So
like to do that. I put my phone do not disturb, face down, away, and then I have like maybe you guys so that if you call me it comes through. But I always try to keep it away, cover all
let's
lights.
walk into a room.
Okay. Wait, before you walk into a room, what do you recommend? Because I have been seeing this, and we'll go into this because I think it was a trend maybe like last year or something, that it was a sleepy girl mocktail. I don't know if you've heard of that, but I was kind of falling into it, and I was like, maybe should I do this? But it essentially the recipe is tart cherry juice, magnesium powder, and then unflavored or prebiotic soda like Olipop or Poppy or one of those like random bubbly prebiotic sodas. And I was hesitant to try it, obviously, because, you know, magnesium is like a supplement that you take and I run everything by you. And I did ask you about the powder and you had talked to me about it. And I feel like you always go towards taking a tea instead of like another random supplement. So, first, the Sleepy Girl Mocktail. What do you such a funny name. And
It is actually catchy, and
it is.
many people fell through that. So
And they put it
okay,
in a wine glass, a
so
really cute wine glass with the straw, and then
so
it's
we're gonna
you stir.
begin then before we go into the room, which is
Right.
great. You know, you have to have a routine. You have
Of
to
course.
have your create a habit. You
Mhm.
know, that actually is sending a positive message to the brain. Hey, this is the time to
Wind
sleep.
down. Mhm.
Exactly that. So. You know, most people know that they have to put down their phones, their computers, and all of that. Let's
Right.
talk about supplements before we get into the room, and we're
Mhm.
gonna do together an assessment of the room
Yeah.
for the ecosystem.
Yes.
So if I've we talk about supplements, we
Mhm.
know that, for example, magnesium and vitamin B6 are really good for sleep. Today, you can actually buy magnesium combined with vitamin
I was
B6.
gonna say I've seen that before where it comes together. So that's for sleep?
It can actually help consolidate your sleep, and there are evidence for that.
Mm.
Um, the the other juices and stuff that were added into this mocktail is disturbing because many of those they have significant amount of sugar, and sugar is an incredible stimulant. It can keep you awake. If you want to keep awake somebody, you know, remember when you were a kid, they gave you tons of chocolate with sugar, so people
Right.
remain, you know,
Awake. And
awake
then
and
you
running.
crash. But since this is so close to your sleep, I don't understand why people were doing this because I mean, I don't even know what's in tart cherry juice. It was very natural. It all looked like these were things that could help. I don't know who came up with this, but
Absolutely. So we we usually recommend going with teas because there is a lot more research and evidence supporting traditional teas of chamomile or some of the others that are non-caffeinated teas.
right,
That if you drink a tea and you put that part of your routine, you're basically telling your brain it's the time to sleep. You know,
yeah,
you get something warm, and you're approaching the time that you're winding down to go to
right.
sleep. I think the popularity of the mocktail is because it triggers a routine. And
That
basically,
is
you're telling
true.
your brain it is the time to sleep. It is true that some of those things that they put in there, they are evidence that can support and help sleep.
Right. The
But it's not for
magnesium.
everybody.
No,
Magnesium is, vitamin 6 is, but some of the other things that are included in there may not be of value for everybody.
of course.
So these kind of routines that are safe and
Mhm.
they are effective can be easily generalized because what they trigger is a positive feedback to the brain. This is the time to go to sleep. So
Mm.
to wrap that up, magnesium is good, but not all magnesiums are created equal. There are multiple variety of magnesium. We're not going to dive into that. We can
Oh,
do that in another time.
yeah.
There's there's magnesium citrates. There's some other chemical forms of magnesium that have different effects. There are magnesium that is really good for muscles. There's magnesium that is really good for this consolidation of the brain. So we really need to know exactly what we're
What
taking.
you're putting
Mhm.
in there. But
Exactly.
powdered up I assume.
So
Common sense would say if it's diluted in water,
yeah, it may
then
work, but we need to know how many milligrams you're using.
of
If you're
course.
using less than the daily doses, or 200 or less than 400 milligrams of magnesium, probably you're not going to get any effect. It's
Right.
more like a placebo. So
Oh.
it is important to know exactly what is in it, that have research that backed that up. All the other things could be routines that are essentially sending a positive message to the brain that it's time to sleep.
Right.
And you can accomplish the same thing with chamomile or
But what's
or
in chamomile that makes
but
you
chamomile.
fall
It
asleep?
does produce relaxation and sleepiness, and
Really?
is very good for
Really?
most people. And there is hundreds of years, if not thousands, of experience using linden or tilo or chamomile. All of that, they tend to
Oh.
relax and they tend to produce sleepiness. So
Hmm.
those are positive things that you can do in preparation to go to sleep.
Right.
And eventually you do those things automatically. You don't want them to be forceful, because you're then in the same battle that we spoke before.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I have to do my mocktail or whatever, otherwise I'm not going to go to sleep. That's not the
Yeah.
case, because if you don't have those and you're traveling, you want to sleep
Of course. And you become
nonetheless.
dependent on it, and then it's not healthy in the long run.
Correct.
Yeah.
So let's walk into
So
the
it's
room,
yeah. So
and
now walking into the room.
we're gonna talk about the ecosystem. If I'm in an
Yes.
ecosystem in a room and I walk into the room, I want to make sure that again we have all the lights off.
Yes.
Mm. The
Curtains.
second thing is, for a great majority of the population, I
Mm-hmm.
would say almost 100%, other than critical care physicians or firefighters or somebody that has to respond at night.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we do not need to sleep with the phone next to us. I know that everybody does it.
I hated that.
Okay.
I hated that growing up. But now I see why. It wasn't out of like
Yeah.
you don't need to message. I mean, obviously you
I
don't need
took
to
it
message
away from
anyone.
you guys.
Yes.
Yes.
It was plugged into the hallway.
I know.
It was so sad. I did my phone, and then I saw it in the morning. But it honestly did help because, first of all, I had no need to be doing anything on my phone at night. If my messages were to come up, I don't even know if do not disturb back then was a thing, but I'd
No.
always get messages, and it was just like a constant stimulation that I don't really need. And that's, you're sleeping. You should prioritize the sleeping over getting a message. You can answer them later. You can scroll later. You can do all of this at another time rather than what's priority in the moment, which is your sleep. But 100% plugging it
A-
away.
Again, going back to this, sleep
Mm-hmm.
is a foundation for your health.
Mm-hmm.
It's the time that the body recoup and repair.
Yeah.
So it has to work. So we got to figure out
Yeah.
ways to do it. So blackouts, all stimulates. Make sure that you don't have in your room your computer open,
That too.
your router, or you don't have a blinking light
Oh my gosh, those are so annoying,
from
especially
the
from a
TV.
router. Yeah. Oh my gosh, every time in like a hotel or something, it's always something that's blinking, and then you turn on the light and then you don't see it because it's blinking in and out super slow. But those are very stimulants. I feel like that's been
Part of
reduced my whole
light and
life.
stimulate. The next thing that we're going to talk in that ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
I know it's going to sound radical. I did it to you guys.
Oh
I did it to me. But I think a TV in the room is a problem.
yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I removed that from you guys, and I think it
No,
did
it
have
wasn't
some.
removed. We just never had it in the
I
first
know, I
place.
know. I removed it from mine.
Yeah, you did.
I
You
never
did used
bought
to
one for
have
you guys.
no, no TV, no TV. I mean, it was in the long run. Again, with the phone, like I didn't
You
need
see?
that. It was just something that like I could go somewhere else to watch it, and then you what is that word called? Like when you situate or correlate something with, okay, if I'm in my bed, I'm watching TV, or people who study in their bed, like you get tired in your bed because you also sleep in the same bed that you study. It's the same thing with having a TV. Like I can go and watch a TV elsewhere instead of in my bed where like this is my ecosystem to fall asleep.
Absolutely right. If
Yeah.
if you go into the psychology of insomnia and how to treat it,
Mhm.
they focus a lot on creating those routines. And
Mhm.
basically, you're watching TV in another place, and when you finish watching TV or whatever you were doing or working in your computer, and you close your computer, turn off the TV, you're sending a positive message quickly to your brain. This is the time to go to sleep, and then you're triggering waking up the internal hormones, including
Mhm.
melatonin, obviously, that when you enter into the room, it is for sleep.
Yeah.
You're going there to rest. So in that ecosystem, you turn off all the lights. So
Mhm.
we are inside the room.
Yes. Lights off.
We strongly recommend to remove the TV if you don't
Yes.
need it. If it's going to be more helpful. And if you can, just tune it off. Make
Yeah.
sure that it doesn't have any lights, that
Right.
is right in front of you.
Cover those.
Cover those,
Yeah.
because
Or
it's
cover your eyes. I feel
there
like
you
a
go.
lot of people, that something else we can lead into now is like, I've always grown up with you having like a more like a rag, like not even not even like an eye mask, because I understand. I
Yeah,
used to hate having an eye mask because that wrapped around my head
I
made me
hate it.
feel like I was constricted or something.
Yes.
So it was always just like a light rag. You just like cut it out of t-shirts or something every
Yes.
single time. I mean, hey, it works because you have like a resource of
I do. I do.
trapos.
Yeah, I know. I love the trapitos because what happened? Again, I'm Cuban. I'm
Of
paranoid
course.
by nature. Have to be ready to fight.
Yeah, it
So
just
I don't
comes
want to
off.
make my head wrap up and squeeze.
True, true.
So, but I
That's
we have a
can help.
blackout in a room and all of
Mm-hmm.
that, but I still put that in my eyes because it's a message, and I'm
Of
sending
course.
to my brain, "Hey, it's totally dark and I want to sleep."
Yeah.
It's part of that routine that I'm setting the
Mm-hmm.
stage for
For sleep.
sleep. Hmm?
Yeah. And now I use an eye mask now because I used to sleep in a room that didn't really have blackout curtains. So I bought an eye mask that's like um it has holes, like a little cups for your eyes so that you can still open your eyes, but your body and your eyes see all dark no matter where you are. And I think it's worked out great. I put it on like underneath my head like a headband, and it works really well. I feel like that's something that's also just like if I don't have it, I'm like my eye mask. But I mean, I feel like you've always been like that. So
And
it
it helps.
helps.
It
It
helps.
really does.
So once you have that, the second
Mhm.
thing that we're going to talk is about temperature. Your
Yes.
core body temperature
Yes.
goes down at night,
Does it really?
and many people have
Wow.
fluctuations in the temperature depending on the different stages, or all of us,
Of sleep?
of the stages of sleep. So there is better evidence today that colder temperature tend
Okay.
to help us promote sleep. Hmm?
Really?
Now we got to keep in mind
I mean, yeah.
that the temperature is also important because for seasons of life,
Mhm.
ladies in the seasons of menopause, they tend to get hot flashes and start sweating. Those kind of things can interrupt your sleep
Right.
and break the
That sucks, yeah.
entire night apart. So
Unfortunately.
obviously they will get treatments or interventions for that.
Mhm.
But when it comes to sleep, lowering the temperature,
Yeah.
it is exceedingly important. Around 67, to 70 is the ideal
Yeah.
temperature. Although there are people that need lower temperature, others
Like you?
higher. I am.
You sleep in an igloo?
I like it. I like it very, very calm.
I mean, I've grown up like that, so I've always been used to it. And even in a hotel room, another place where I sleep, I always would rather have colder sleep, colder ecosystem of the room, because even with like a thin blanket, I feel like that's not the same. If the room is at like 72 and I'm sleeping with like a sheet, I just that's yes, I'm cooler because the blanket isn't as heavy, but I'd rather like warm myself up with a blanket than being hot,
Absolutely. When you're hot, you
right?
start sweating. And when you start sweating, obviously will interrupt the sleep. And this is one of the values that beds in the market that talks about,
Oh, the super
change
expensive ones? Yeah.
super expensive beds. They actually help change or ventilate
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
better. Is that whole idea or of dissipating or passing through the heat generated by your body, so that the mattress actually absorb or pass that through, so that you are not generating
pulling in your sweat.
exactly a massive amount of temperature, and you're going to be sweating and interrupting the sleep.
Interesting. I mean, I've always heard a lot of people like sleeping in cold temperatures, so I feel like that's normal and average. That's how like we can make the generalization to just have a colder space when you sleep. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the third part of your ecosystem, it is the connection between the routine that you're gonna develop when you
Mhm.
go into your room. So let's quickly dive into that. In that part of the ecosystem, say you prepare a tea, you have your vitamin 6 or magnesium or
Mhm.
whatever that a doctor, an expert in the field, recommended to you. You walk into your room. You got to make sure that right before falling asleep, all of this is organized. You got to have, kind of a routine in that
Of
ecosystem.
course.
For some people, traditionally, the best way is actually to grab a real book, paper.
Yeah.
So the brain
Yeah.
responds totally different to a paper book that your Kindle or one of those that
I
you have
love
been
my
used.
Kindle. Actually, the one that I have, which is amazing, it's a paper white where it kind of looks like paper and I can still have a light and a separate light, and my book reads like a my screen reads like a book where there's no light behind it, and I think that's great some in the times that like I'm in a room with other people and we're about to go to sleep, or even if I'm by myself and I'm in the dark and I raise it one light up, it's not as stimulating as like a phone because it's a different kind of light. I don't know what the difference is, but it's a different kind of light that is less stimulating. But even then, when I'm reading versus what I'm doing on my phone, yes, I'm still stimulating my brain by being up and reading things because I'm on my phone and I'm reading captions and I'm reading subtitles. I'm still reading text, but it's so much more different when it's being stimulated by audio and visual and everything is just playing at once. And I'm also stimulating myself by laughing or by crying or by being sad or being like talking to myself of like, oh, this is funny. Let me send this to someone else. Or, oh, this is relatable. Let me send this to someone else.
That is the problem with electronics.
Right.
That you have multiple other things that can
At the same
become
time.
an interruption.
Yes.
So traditional books, research shows that are much better because you're not going to be able to click and send it to
No.
anybody.
No, you are not.
So the ideal environment or ecosystem is actually all lights off, and you
Mhm.
have a reading light. And
Yeah.
it can be as simple as one of those that they sell online, or you go to Barnes and Nobles, and they
The
are
clip
tiny that you
ones.
clip in the book.
Yeah.
They're very inexpensive,
Yeah.
and you are reducing the darkness and just
Around you.
focusing in the book.
Yeah.
And with that, you begin your routine of reading, or
Yeah.
and that will set the stage, set the brain.
Yeah.
Also, it is important
Mhm.
to pick literature, things that you're going to read that are not excessively stimulant. So you don't want to read a
Mm.
battlefield
Of
or
course.
war,
Of course.
or something very very aggressive.
Right.
One of those novels that we have out there, they tend
Yeah.
to be very very aggressive. You
And then
want
you
to
dream about it. And then
exactly.
that's something that you're thinking about. Maybe you
Yeah,
didn't finish the book and the next chapter is like, what's gonna happen next? And then that's what you're thinking about. I like reading softer
you
books.
got to read
Nicer
softer stuff
books.
before going to bed.
That's a good point. I
You
didn't
know,
realize that was something.
poetry, things that are
Yeah.
uh, you know, things that are easy to read,
Mhm.
things that are not going to trigger memories that is going to follow
Of
by a
course.
dream or a nightmare.
Right,
So
right, 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 right.
it is part of that ecosystem to have that kind
Mm.
of routine that you walk into a room and you do this, and then you put your book down, tune that off,
Mhm.
cover your eyes if you have to, if you like it,
Mhm.
and then sleep.
Yeah, I mean, and then I feel like we can now get into when you're in the bed, your mattress and your pillow. You were talking about your time at the fellowship when you were like in the hospital and stuff. And I actually still use to this day The pillow that you used when you were in the hospital, I love that pillow. That pillow is a brick, and people hate it. Some people
I hate it.
You did.
I gave it to you.
You did, because it's so good and it's withstanding. It's been like 15 plus years of us having that pillow. I love it so much. It looks like cheese because it has all the holes in it. But I love it so much. But I feel like now we can talk into the sleeping positions, because that's something that can alter your sleep. And with what you've studied and what you know about, sleep apnea or being overweight or sleeping on your back or being a mouth breather, I feel like that's something that ties into how well you rest at night. And I've seen people, TikTok and everything, all media, always saying stuff about like, if your head is too high up, your neck isn't at a natural position, or if you put your arm underneath, and there's so many things of like, people get, instead of one big mattress, they'll get two twin beds so that they can stick their arm underneath so that their arm is at a natural position. And these people are doing too much.
You're absolutely right.
Like,
you're
I don't know what the
right. Obviously, this podcast today is we're talking about the fundamentals of a sleep.
Right.
We're not diving into sleep problems or sleep disturbances or diseases, like sleep apnea that you mentioned and some of the other things. We're going to do this the next time. But obviously, the bed, it is an important factor in sleep, and your sleep position, it is important. So as a general rule, those kind of crazy things that you hear out there, they are crazy.
Right.
They are. So let's go and review the bed. The bed, there are people that like softer beds. There are people that like harder beds. There are people that need to sleep in a harder bed because they have back problems or some other issues that they're exceedingly common, and a physician recommended for them to have one of those orthopedics, as we used to call them. Those are specific things. But every individual, and going back to the individuality, we need to determine what kind of mattress we are going to sleep. And I'm not talking about the $10,000 or $11,000 mattress. I'm going to the simple of the simple. Do you want softer bed, or you got a harder bed for what is pleasing to you so that you sleep properly?
Yeah. I used to have a really soft one, and it did not, in high school, remember? I had a really soft one. Oh, it wasn't too soft at first, but I feel like I had a full bed, and I always slept on the same side every single time. So I could feel that dip, literally felt like a hammock. And it was good. I liked it, but it was not something that, in the long run, I did get a lot of back pain. Also, when, we're on our periods, it's something that like lower back pain is a factor in what the body is going through. And that was just like something that heightened it even more. I had to get a whole new mattress. I mean, hey, we're Cuban, we were resourceful. I flipped it other side, and then I used that much as much as possible, and then worked from there to then in the long run be like, okay, this mattress is done. It's been sunken into, that's, we gotta help yourself fall better.
Absolutely. So you have a mattress. You pick the kind of mattress that you're gonna have. That is comfortable for you.
Right.
And then comes the sleep position. Most people, we turn and move at night. There's a very small amount of people that really can have one position, close their eyes and go into sleep and wake up. Really? It's almost impossible. Great majority of all of us, because we go through different ups and downs in sleep stages at night, we tend to turn to the left or turn to the right and whatnot. What these people talking about, the natural position and not so natural position, the best evidence that we have is in relationship to the pillow. You want the pillow not too high if you don't have
like
any problems, because you may need a higher pillow or elevate your head if you have acid reflux or you have some other issues.
Yeah.
So again, we're going to the individuality. If you have,
not everyone has that.
Yeah. If the person has heart failure or breathing problems, they may need to actually sleep with the head elevated and may need 2 or 3 pillows. For young people, actually, that shouldn't be a problem. So if you put higher head and your body is kind of flat, obviously you're going to put tension in the
Neck.
muscles of your neck,
Yeah.
and you're going to have headaches, and when you wake
Mhm.
up, or something like that. So the
Yeah.
pillow is important to be something that support your head and give you certain
Right.
alignment. Hmm?
Right.
For the majority of the normal people without medical condition that requires
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah.
Positions and sleep. Well, the all depends. For ladies, they tend to sleep more on their side than facing down, or what we call prone
Mm.
position. Why? Because the breasts interfere and the
This is true.
pressures and all of that. So
This
you
is
tend
true.
to sleep facing up
Or
or
side.
on the side.
I feel like I sleep up. Sometimes I fall asleep like I'm in a coffin, but it's so comfortable and people think it's so weird when they find me and I'm like this. I sleep like that, or I feel like this is one that was talked about a lot because this is something that I didn't know a lot of people did, but is sleeping on your stomach with your arms like under your pillow and then having one leg up. That's my favorite sleeping position. I heard it gives you scoliosis, but I still do it. I still do it.
Well, if it's comfortable and you are not going to remain the entire night in that
Well,
position,
that's the thing I
it
don't
is
know.
acceptable. It is
I don't know if I
acceptable.
do.
So the well, things that you can do, you can study your sleep. It's becoming so easy to do this day. We're going to talk in a minute about that. Um,
Mhm.
but when we talk about position, there are certain positions, and I really want to talk about this briefly. We can add this to the next episode.
Yeah.
There is a lot of research coming up, and there is group on brain doctors and neurologists that
Mhm.
have spoken in the media about the value of sleeping on the side versus sleeping facing up. There are some studies.
Mm.
We cannot, those are just research that shows that sometimes people tend to dream less and have more recuperative sleep if they sleep on the side versus sleeping facing up. There are certain
Ooh.
things in there, and these are recommendation for people that are healthy, that don't have any issues, as we
Right.
mentioned, heartburn or gastric problems or
Yeah.
heart failure, or one of those conditions that require a higher head,
Yeah.
elevation of the head.
Mhm.
uh, so we will talk about that in future episodes. But part of what we recommend, or what is necessary to understand, is that when you see so many people recommending things for sleep out there in the media, and majority of them, they are not sleep doctors. This is
Of
just
course.
human experience that they're trying to generalize to an individual. That is a
Mhm.
problem.
Yeah.
So before we get to the latter part of the end of the program or the show, I really want to encourage people to consider visiting a sleep clinic or pulmonologists that they do sleep studies. In the past, the sleep studies, people needed to go to sleep in a place, in a shopping center. Security was low,
Right. I've seen those before where they
wire
like
up, and
too
and you get
much.
wires everywhere. You
Yeah.
trying to sleep with a bunch of wires. Um,
Obviously, you're gonna have disturbances because you're not
Absolutely,
used to having all those things
absolutely.
tied to you.
But all of that has changed today. Just a few weeks ago, a few months ago, this little device was approved by the FDA, that you basically wrap it up in your finger, and you can, we can get a full
Yeah,
sleep
look.
study with this.
Yeah.
So also many
That's
of these
crazy.
devices, the watches and
Yeah.
all of that,
The rings.
the rings, they can actually gives you an idea of your sleep patterns.
Yeah.
These devices can give you how much did you spend on one side versus the other,
Oh my gosh,
um,
I'd love to know that.
and how deep your sleep was, what's the percentage of all of that. And I do believe that because we have so many sleep problems across all ages,
Yeah.
not only the people that have potential sleep apnea or something else need to get a sleep study. I think most people today that have some sleep disturbances, they need to get sleep studies. Sometimes people do not have a sleep apnea, but they snore, and the snoring interfere the sleep,
Yeah,
and
and
it
it
could
wakes
be a
them up.
reason. And they don't know it because it's
Ah,
during phases that they are sleeping.
right.
So snoring tend to be the main reason. So we have terminologies in medicine about snoring interrupting sleep. So all of that has to be looked into it, because if you're
Mm.
trying to do everything
Mm-hmm.
and you have done all of this that we're talking here on your ecosystem, but you still do not have or feel, or you think that you don't have a good night's sleep, it is important that you look for the evaluation of a professional, that you see
I
an
agree.
expert in the field that may do one of these studies and tend to look into your
Mm-hmm.
patterns. Maybe you are probably having enough sleep, but you did not know that you are part of the population that with 5 to 6 hours
You're okay.
is more than enough. and
Mm.
and you have been fighting yourself
Yeah.
and blaming yourself, trying to put yourself to sleep more, when in reality you did not need that. So
Interesting.
all of this, it is exceedingly important that we understand that
As an individual, of
as an
course, not being
individual.
generalized. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. You're my expert, so I just ask you all these questions all the time. And it's really helped because I also have friends and stuff that come up to me, and then I give them the knowledge that you have given me. And I mean, it's very true. It's super individualized. You have to understand who you are, your routines. If you need to have a skincare routine, and then you need to, go get some water and have some water by your bedside. Feel like that's me. I always need water just in case I wake up in the middle of the night. Sometimes I don't always use it, but having it there is nice. Knowing my book is nearby that I could read, that my phone is plugged far away, all my lights are turned off. I feel like creating that ecosystem and understanding your own schedule, of course, because we could say, like, hey, after 9 p.m., turn everything off. But it's also like, okay, maybe I have class until 10, so I can't turn everything off at 9. So again, it's very individualized, not a generalization of what these are steps you must take in order to have a good night's sleep. I feel like you pick and choose what you know works best for you, and then understanding your own body and then going from there. I feel like that's the
Absolutely.
foundation, at
As a
least.
foundation. And
Mhm.
I would say take it easy. Don't be
Yeah.
hard on yourself.
Simple is better.
Simple is better.
Mhm.
Create a simple routine that you can practice that everywhere you go. If you're in a hotel or whatever place, you forgot your mask, you can put
Sad.
your eye covers. You can put a
Anything.
socks and
Yeah.
on something like that. Who
Clean.
knows? Yes. Again, the routine has to be simple. The
Mhm.
environment has to be, the ecosystem has to be also simple. That you tackle those things.
Mhm.
Understand that there will be natural fluctuations. You're gonna
Of
have good
course.
nights and bad
Of
nights,
course.
and that doesn't mean that you are. That you need to recoup that on weekends or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
And also understanding that we are bombarded by massive amount of information from
Yes.
people that are not experts,
Yes.
and we tend to follow our influencers today, and unfortunately that can create more problems than
It
help.
does. I may also fall into that sometimes. I'm like, "Ooh, this person I know does this. Maybe I should too." And then you don't actually research it just because someone else said it and they were paid to say it too. It's also that. Like, maybe it wasn't actually that good, but you saw someone that you really like use it, so you're like, "Maybe I should try this out." Then you waste your money, and then it ends up being a placebo effect, and you're wasting your time as well and your energy putting into all of this. So yeah, I mean, simple is better in the long run. Understanding yourself, understanding your body, listening to it when it says, hey, maybe it's time to go to sleep, or not fighting sleep both ways, fighting it like staying up too late or waking up too early, and not understanding how your body really works. Exercising as well. Heard it my whole life. Exercising and keeping your body stimulated in a positive way, I feel like is very, very, very important. But I mean, if you're exhausted, that's a natural thing to feel. If you're always busy, if you're always on the go, if you're always doing something, and like, your body isn't your enemy, it's just trying to let you know.
It's exactly right. The body is our controller, obviously, and will tell us what we have
Mm-hmm.
to do. If you need
Yeah.
to sleep, is sleep. Um, I remember in closing, when I began to do intensive care medicine, I have
Mm-hmm.
a professor that told me, sit when you can, sleep when you can. Why? Because we were awake 24/7. So if I
Yeah.
have 5 minutes of sleep, I need to train myself to do so.
Yeah.
So we tend to take all these advices that are floating out there uh, to to um, to our hearts
Yeah. Too
and
literally.
literally, and that is a problem. So,
Mm-hmm.
as a conclusion from this episode that I enjoy very very much,
Yes. It's
um,
very good.
it's a great topic, and I
Yeah.
think we need to dive into in the follow up episode. We're going to talk a little bit more, or we're going to be diving into issues,
Yeah.
specific issues, sleep apnea.
Mm-hmm.
I get thousands of questions, literally, every month from patients and locations that we're going around on all the new technologies related with sleep
Yeah.
apnea, the new machines. So we can bring some of the machines and
Oh,
show
that'd
to
be
people
so
what they mean,
cool.
what they
Yeah.
are, and the different testing
Yeah. And what it
tools.
is in the, because I've heard it my whole life, but then again, I want to know exactly what goes into it. I think it's so cool. Like, how does this work? What are the factors that play into why you get it or why you have it, how you can solve it, how you can fix it? And we can do that next time because we're running out of time.
Yes, this episodes is just the foundation.
Foundation.
We're
That's a
talking
very good one.
about, most of the time, the issues is not you, is the
Mm-mm.
battle that you have internally between you and yourself and
A
the
battle
ecosystem.
indeed. Yeah.
So make sure that you check your ecosystem.
Yeah.
Make sure that your
Yep.
ecosystem is simple, that your routine is a routine that you can do everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
that you don't have 1,000 steps. The more complex the routine,
Yeah, no.
the less likely you're gonna do it.
Yep.
Very simple. A tea, your whatever vitamin you're gonna take, and then read your book and go to sleep. Make sure that his room is dark. Make sure that the temperature is appropriate for you. Make sure
Yeah.
that the mattress is something that you like. And do not pay way too much attention to your sleep position right now. It's not
That is
necessary.
really good.
So we are going to close it here, and this
Yes.
has been phenomenal.
It has been.
And I thank you for being here
Of
with
course.
me.
Of course.
We thank you for being here with us, and we invite you to come back and join us into our next show, our next episode.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and if this helped you, share it with someone who's running on empty that kind of needs a little bit of advice. Follow, connect with us on Instagram at the Dr. Ferrer Pod, YouTube, subscribe, all of the above, wherever you listen to podcasts. We are there, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.